Most people think the Yakuza works like a movie. A guy joins, gets a suit, makes money, and becomes powerful. But in real life, the first rank is not power. It's being nobody. You run errands. You stay quiet. You obey older members. And if you make one mistake, nobody is coming to save you. The Yakuza has a strict ranking system, from low-level recruits all the way to the Oyabun, the boss of the family. Every rank gives you more respect, but also more pressure, more enemies, and less freedom. So today, we're going step by step through that ladder. From the lowest nobody in the organization to the man at the top, the Yakuza boss. Before someone becomes a real member, they usually start as an outsider. This person might be young, broke, reckless, or looking for a place to belong. For some, the appeal is money. For others, it is protection. And for some, it is the feeling of finally being part of something bigger than themselves. But from the organization's point of view, this person is not important yet. He is not family. He is not trusted. He is not respected. He is simply being watched. At this stage, the outsider may spend time around members, follow small instructions, help with basic tasks, or prove that he can be useful without asking too many questions. This is where the first test begins. Not strength, not intelligence. Obedience. Can he listen? Can he stay quiet? Can he show respect? Can he follow rules even when nobody explains them? Because the Yakuza is built around hierarchy, older members are above younger members. Senior members are above ordinary members. And the boss is above everyone. A person who cannot accept that structure will not last long. In normal life, being independent can be a strength. In a criminal hierarchy, independence can be seen as a problem. The lowest person is expected to observe, learn, and never act bigger than his position. That is the first rule of the ladder. You do not climb by acting powerful. You climb by proving you can be controlled. If the outsider proves himself, he may become a low-level member. This is where the image starts to change. He may dress better. He may spend more time around the group. He may feel like he finally has status. But the reality is still harsh. At the bottom, membership does not mean power. It means responsibility without real protection. A low-ranking member does the work nobody else wants to do. He waits. He drives. He carries messages. He assists older members. He stands around for hours. He learns names, rules, habits, and traditions. And above all, he learns respect. In Yakuza culture, hierarchy is not subtle. Who sits where matters. Who speaks first matters. Who gets introduced first matters. Even silence can show status. A low-level member quickly understands that every room has an order, and if he breaks that order, people notice. This is why the early stage is psychological. The young member wants to be seen, but he must stay invisible. He wants respect, but he must show respect first. He wants money, but the real money is still far above him. At this level, one of the biggest dangers is pride. A young member who talks too much, shows off too much, or acts like he is more important than he is can create problems for himself. And in that world, problems do not disappear easily. So he learns to control himself. He learns to read the room. He learns that status is earned slowly. And he learns that the organization does not care about his ego. It cares about usefulness. The next stage is the foot soldier. This is the rank most people imagine when they think about organized crime. The man on the street. The man who shows up when called. The man who represents the group in public. But even here, power is limited. A foot soldier may be more trusted than a beginner, but he is still replaceable. He is close enough to risk to get hurt, but not high enough to make the important decisions. That is what makes this rank dangerous. If tension rises with another group, lower members are often the first to feel it. If police pressure increases, they are usually the most exposed. If something goes wrong, the people at the bottom are easier to sacrifice than the people at the top. This is one of the hard truths of criminal organizations. The lower ranks carry the most visible risk. The higher ranks control more from a distance. A foot soldier may think he is moving up, and sometimes he is. But he is also being used. He may be expected to show loyalty, collect information, protect the group's image, accompany senior members, and handle low-level responsibilities. This is where he starts to understand the real currency of the organization. Money and loyalty. Loyalty proves he can be trusted. Money proves he has value. If a member brings problems, people remember. If he brings money, people notice. And if he stays loyal under pressure, he may be given more responsibility. But there is always a balance. Too little ambition, and nobody sees him. Too much ambition, and people become suspicious. To survive, he must appear useful without appearing dangerous. That is not easy. As he gains experience, he may become a senior member. This is where the ladder becomes less about street presence and more about control. A senior member is no longer just following others. He may guide younger members. He may manage small groups. He may be trusted with more serious responsibilities. He knows the family's culture. He understands rivalries. He knows who is important, who is unstable, and who should not be trusted. At this stage, emotional control matters more than physical confidence. A young man might impress people by acting tough, but a senior member must know when not to react. He must know when silence is stronger than anger. He must know when conflict helps the organization, and when it only creates unnecessary attention. This is why middle ranks can be stressful. A senior member has pressure from both sides. Below him, younger members want guidance, approval, and opportunity. Above him, leadership wants results, discipline, and money. If the younger members fail, he may be blamed. If money slows down, he may be questioned. If he cannot keep people under control, higher members may see him as weak. This is the part outsiders do not see. Power does not remove pressure, it increases it. The higher someone climbs, the more people depend on him. And the more people are watching for mistakes. Then comes the lieutenant. A lieutenant is not just experienced. He is trusted with movement inside the organization. Orders come down through him. Information moves through him. Money may pass through him. Problems are reported through him. That makes him powerful, but it also makes him exposed. A lieutenant can supervise crews, manage territory, communicate with senior leadership, and make sure orders are followed. He knows who is loyal, who is earning, who is causing trouble, who is ambitious, and who might become a threat later. In organized crime, information is power, and the lieutenant has more information than most. But the higher he climbs, the more dangerous trust becomes. At the bottom, the question is simple. Can this man obey? In the middle, the question changes. Can this man produce? Near the top, the question becomes more dangerous. Could this man betray us? That is the dark side of promotion. Every new rank brings more respect. But it also brings more suspicion. If a lieutenant becomes too popular, people notice. If he makes too much money, people notice. If younger members follow him more than they follow the boss, people definitely notice. And in that world, being noticed too much can become a problem. Not every powerful figure in the Yakuza is the loudest person in the room. Some power comes from advice, experience, and knowing how to prevent disasters before they happen. This is where advisors become important. An advisor may help settle disputes, guide decisions, manage relationships, or protect the family from reckless choices. This role shows that the Yakuza is not only about fear, it is also about reputation, tradition, discipline, and survival. A family that looks weak may attract rivals. A family that acts too reckless may attract police. A family that loses internal discipline may collapse from inside. So, advisors are valuable because they think beyond the moment. A young member thinks about respect today. An advisor thinks about consequences tomorrow. One insult can create a conflict. One conflict can damage business. One bad decision can bring attention to everyone. That is why older members often value control more than chaos. From the outside, chaos looks powerful. From the inside, chaos is expensive. Then comes the underboss. This is one of the most powerful positions below the boss. If the boss is the symbol of authority, the underboss is often the person helping the organization function day to day. He may manage senior members, handle internal problems, keep money moving, make sure orders are followed, and protect the boss from unnecessary exposure. From below, this rank looks like real power, and it is. But it is also one of the most dangerous positions in the hierarchy. Because the underboss is close to the top. Everyone can see him. Some people want his approval. Some people fear him. Some people depend on him. And some people may want his place. At this level, danger becomes quieter. It is not always a rival on the street. Sometimes it is a meeting he was not invited to. A payment that arrives late. A member who suddenly becomes too loyal to someone else. A conversation that stops when he enters the room. The underboss must read these signs, because at the top, threats do not always announce themselves. They build slowly. The underboss also has to balance loyalty and ambition. He must be strong enough to lead, but not so strong that the boss sees him as a threat. He must control men, but not build a separate power base. He must solve problems, but not become too independent. This is why the position is so complicated. The underboss is powerful, but never fully safe. And finally, at the top, there is the boss, the Oyabun, the father figure, the leader of the family. In traditional Yakuza structure, the relationship between boss and follower is often described like parent and child. The boss gives direction, the members owe loyalty, the boss represents the family's name, and every person below him reflects on that name. At this rank, power becomes symbolic. The boss does not need to speak loudly. He does not need to prove himself in every room. His position does that for him. People watch how he reacts. They watch who he favors. They watch who he ignores. They watch what he says and what he does not say. Because in a strict hierarchy, even small signals matter. But being boss is not freedom. It may be the most trapped position of all. The boss must control money, reputation, alliances, internal loyalty, rivals, police pressure, and the future of the organization. If he appears weak, people may test him. If he appears reckless, the family may suffer. If he trusts the wrong person, betrayal can come from inside. If he refuses to adapt, younger members may see him as outdated. A boss has power, but he also carries the weight of every mistake made beneath him. That is the part people forget. At the bottom, a nobody dreams of becoming untouchable, but at the top, nobody is truly untouchable. The boss has more status than anyone, but also more enemies, more responsibility, more pressure, and less room to be human. That is the real ladder, from outsider to low-level member, to foot soldier, to senior member, to lieutenant, to advisor, to underboss, to boss. Every step gives something, and every step takes something away. The outsider gains identity, but loses independence. The low-level member gains belonging, but loses freedom. The soldier gains status, but absorbs danger. The senior member gains influence, but carries responsibility. The lieutenant gains power, but becomes watched. The underboss gains control, but lives near betrayal. And the boss gains the throne, but becomes trapped by it. That is why the story of climbing the Yakuza ranks is not just about power. It is about cost. Because the same system that lifts a man up also closes around him. From the outside, it looks like a rise. From nobody to Yakuza boss. But inside that world, every rank is another chain. And sometimes the highest position in the room is also the most dangerous one. Subscribe for more dark animated stories about crime, power, history, and the hidden systems most people never see.